Hello and welcome to the tip of the day. I'm Dr. Amy Starr with the Mesa Veterinary Clinic, Paws and Hooves Mole Veterinary Services, and San Francisco Stables. And we're helping El Paso help their pets. So today I want to talk about urinary crystals and stones and urinary blockage in cats. The reason is we've had a couple of cases this week alone where we've had cats come in because they can't pee, and both of them, the two cases, did not make it. And so it's a very, very serious condition and situation. And so I wanted to give you guys some information about it so that if this ever happens in your own pet, you know how serious it is and what to do about it. So basically, crystals are formed in the bladder. It's kind of like kidney stones, what we think of kidney stones, but in all reality, they form more in the bladder than they do in the kidneys, but we can see stones in the kidneys as well. And what happens is the body forms, because of the pH of the urine, sometimes the pH is too high or too low, according to what it normally should be, and so they start to form different types of mineral composites. So those minerals, could be lots of magnesium and all sorts of different things, combined together. And if you've ever seen a crystal, then you know how sharp those crystal edges are. So it's the exact same thing except for on the microscopic level. And so they form these crystals. The crystals bind together or join together to form sand-like material, which we call sludge. And then from there, they continue to bind and form together to form small stones and then even large stones. I've actually taken a stone out of a cat that was like this big before, and out of a dog that was even that big. So they form really huge stones in cases. I just had a case last week up in Las Cruces where we were doing a spay and neuter clinic, so the pet was there for a spay, and as soon as we sedated her and started prepping her belly, we could feel like gravel inside the belly, and it was all inside the uterus. And the uterus was the bladder was literally stretched about 5 times bigger than what it should have been, and was just full of this gravel-like urinary stones. And so that is extremely dangerous. It's extremely painful. And even just the little crystals by themselves, even before they form into stones, are very irritating to the bladder wall. So when we look at bladders that have crystals, instead of a really nice rosy pink with a thin lining, the bladder is red and angry, and the vessels are enlarged, and the wall is thickened, and it's just like, really upset. Because think of if you constantly rub sandpaper on your skin, it's going to get really red and angry and bloody and everything like that. And that's exactly what happens to the inside of the bladder. I'll show a video here in a little bit of the surgery that we did. It's not the whole thing, but it'll give you just a little bit of idea of what things look like. And if you watch our Snapchat, we try to film a lot of these things live when we can. Obviously, we get really busy, so we forget sometimes. But our Snapchat is PVET16, so PVET16, if you want to join us on Snapchat. So basically, things to prevent this are a couple things. One, it's really important because it's so common in cats. Oh, and I'll go into why in just a second. You want to be doing an annual urinalysis on all cats. Really, you should do it on all your pets, well, your dogs and your cats, just to be on the super safe side, because dogs get crystals and stones, just like the one I did on last week at the spay and neuter clinic was a dog. It happened to be a pug, which I actually see a lot of them in pugs. But so they can happen in either. So do annual urinalysis along with your blood work on your pets. Really, really important. Second thing, in cats, we always recommend feeding dry food because it's better for the teeth. It's better for weight control. But if we think about the kidneys and the bladder, wet food is actually definitely much more healthy for the kidneys and the bladder. It keeps them hydrated more and things like that. And so, as long as you're able to brush the teeth, get them in for their annual dental cleanings, and manage their weight, then cat food or canned food is definitely the way to go. Now, I say that with a caveat: high quality cat food. The best brands right now are Science Diet and Royal Canin. I'm not going to mention the ones I don't recommend. I don't want to get in trouble. But if I were to choose, well, on my own pets, what we choose is Science Diet or Royal Canin. Royal Canin is the very best. Science Diet is the next runner-up. And so they're actually adding this SO index into their food in all foods right now, which is really great because that helps to prevent urinary crystals and stones. And so those are kind of the couple things that you can do to prevent. Now, what to watch out for. So if you see that your pet is going to the litter box a lot, or going and urinating and straining but not producing a whole lot, or going to the litter box but not producing a whole lot, and they just come and go and they come and go and they come and go, or they howl or cry when they urinate, or they're urinating outside the box. Maybe they've got a full flow but it's outside the box all of a sudden, and they've never done that before, or you're seeing any blood in the urine. All of those symptoms are really important. Get your pet in immediately to the vet clinic. It might just be a bladder infection, which in its own needs to be treated immediately, because any of you that have ever had a bladder infection know how painful that is, and that's exactly what your pet is experiencing. But also, if they do have crystals in there, we're going to do a urinalysis, which is a test of the urine. And if they have crystals in there, then, we're going to see that. And then the next step, besides the urinalysis, is to do an x-ray and an ultrasound to see, is it just sludge, meaning kind of the sand material, which in its own is very, very dangerous, or has it formed stones? And the reason why is if it's just sludge, then our course of treatment is going to be sedating the animal, placing a urinary catheter, flushing sterile saline into the bladder and pulling out, and flushing new into the bladder and pulling out until we get all that sludge flushed out. And it's pretty easy to, it's not easy, it takes a long time and it's expensive, but pretty able to treat. If it's stones, our only treatment is surgery. And so, we need to go in and surgically remove those stones and then flush the bladder and stuff like that. So really important to watch out for any of those things. Now, why does it happen more in cats than dogs? And again, remember, it happens in both. But the huge danger is in male neutered cats. And the reason is remember, the urethra is very, very tiny. The urethra is the tube that goes from the bladder on out, is what we pee through when we squeeze the bladder and we pee. And so the urethra is very tiny. And in male neutered cats, it's even tinier. And so you get blockages. Things get clogged, they can't pass. You have all that sand in there. Just trying to, try to imagine flowing sand, wet sand through a straw. That's exactly what happens. And so it's really important to, watch out for those. So test, like I said, on an annual basis. Make sure that your cat isn't getting any, bladder infections or crystals forming. That way we can treat it before it has to go to surgery, and it's much better. In cases where they are blocked, like truly can't urinate, it's extremely dangerous. I've seen pets come in comatose because all that fluid backs up, and then the kidneys can't filter, and then the toxins that the kidneys are supposed to filter out are getting built up in the bloodstream, and animals can go into seizures and become comatose and can die. And so it's really, really important to keep on track of this. If you have any questions at all, let us know. I'll post a little video right after this, and it's just a little show of how irritated and red the bladder is. I was kind of taking it on the fly, so I didn't really film it for YouTube. So I'm sorry if it's not very entertaining, but hopefully it'll give you a little bit of information on that. If you have any questions, let us know. Comment, subscribe, and like. Take care. Have a great day.
Why does this say dry?
Because we popped it open too fast.